Hello, everybody. I'm Marilyn Bradford, and welcome to the Irreverent Therapists. I'm joined by my co-host and co-heart, Pam Houghteling.
Hello.
I was getting out some little things that have been made up for social media that my graphics person did, and they're kind of bent. And I thought, well, that's us. We're kind of the bent therapists, I think.
We're at least crazy therapists.
We're at least crazy therapists, not bent in a bad way. I don't want to say that. So today's show is, are you being a good little girl or boy? Are you still waiting for the gold star on your forehead so everybody knows that you're a good little girl or boy? For that external validation that lets you know you're okay, you belong, you fit in, all those things? Whose standards are you using to determine your value? That wouldn't be your family, would it? What if you were the determining factor? Are you willing to give yourself a gold star on a daily basis?
I will say this so speaks to me in my childhood. It's like I was such a good little girl, and my whole everything was about trying to be whatever the people around me needed me to be so that I would be, accepted and validated and taken care of. And like it was the defining feature of my childhood.
Did it get you anywhere?
Well, it got me a lot of good experience in mediation.
Which you have used.
Right. So I think a lot of what makes me a good social worker, a good facilitator, deciding to use the word good, is that ability to hear and listen and tap into people, which I used all the time to make sure I could tell what was going on and kind of mollify people who were upset and make people feel good who were feeling bad and all that. So it was a coping mechanism at the time. It did lead to abilities and capacities that I use a lot in a healthier way.
That you can actually make money from.
That I can make money from and enjoy and be successful at. But that's very different than that needing to be good so that you're accepted and approved of and feel okay.
Well, I did a similar thing, but for different reasons. I had an older sister. She was in trouble all the time. Yep. She was a total rebel. And dad would yell at her and mom would tear her hair out. And she was a tomboy. My mom was a Southern belle and wanted, and then I came along. I had blonde curly hair and I'm like, I'm not going to get in trouble like Judy.
Yeah.
I will find out what they need and I will do it. Of course, my sister hated me, but that's okay too. And it gave me some of the same skill sets you're talking about. I became a social worker and all of those kinds of things. I don't know that I'm a good mediator, but I'm a good listener for cues for facilitating.
Yes.
What is really going on with this person? What's their hidden agenda? What are they actually saying? So it benefited me in that way.
Well, and that reminds me that, that curiosity, because that's what I remember from being like in high school and college and stuff was, what makes people tick? Like, I just wanted to find out what makes people tick, because if you understand that, then you can know what to be for them.
Exactly.
So then you're okay.
You can bend, fold, staple, and mutilate yourself to be what they need you to be. How's it getting better than that?
Yep. Well, you talked about the dynamic with your sister. My sister was older also. And, she would... she had opinions and she would say them and, feel like things weren't fair and stuff. And I so remember that, this dynamic, my sister would do something that my mom felt bad about herself about, and then I was there to make my mom feel good about herself.
Oh, nice manipulation.
You're doing it really well with me. Yes. So you're a good mom because I'm being exactly what you need me to be. Talk about screwed up family dynamics.
Yeah, but talk about being able to take advantage of a situation.
Yep, that's
Awesome.
true.
Yep.
That's true.
Yep.
So Marilyn, if you're not trying to be good or, good or bad or anything particular, like what is there? What else is there than what so many of us grew up with?
My sense is before you go to what else is there, you have to get rid of this idea that you need external validation.
Good point. Yeah.
Now, there are times when it's helpful, like if you're going for a job interview. Okay, what does this person need to hear?
Yeah.
Who are they? What's their hidden agenda? If you're called into school for your child acting out, I don't have children, but I know if I did, they would be acting outers. Then, there are ways you can still use that capacity. The trick is to know that you don't actually require it. You're doing it to create a particular outcome that is in your favor.
It's a choice, not a requirement.
I like that. Yes, it's a choice, not a self-requirement.
Because growing up, to me, it was the most vital thing in the world.
Yeah,
survival. Sure everyone around me was okay, so I would be okay. And that's completely different than what you're talking about, which is making a choice to show up in a way that works well in that situation, but you also have the choice to do something different.
Right. Well, and it's interesting when you said that. I wasn't concerned that everyone was okay. I was concerned that they weren't yelling at me.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Deflect it over there.
Be yelling over there. Absolutely.
Well, and that's a good point. Like it can show up differently for different people, but what is there for you that was, this is essential to how I'm being here as a kid. Because if I'm not doing this, things aren't okay. Yeah.
And I'm in trouble and I might not survive. I mean, kids are very attuned to the idea that, you know what, you need your parents.
Yeah.
Or you need some adults to take care of you. You really do. Are you out on the streets at 6? Not a good idea.
Yeah.
So you do whatever strategies there are. But if you carry that into adulthood, what happens is you don't exist. And that's not a great way to create and live your life.
Yeah.
And I remember being in high school. It was a big political time. And I remember saying to myself, I was stopped on the stairs, I wish someone would just tell me what to believe. I wish someone would just tell me what was true. I had no clue.
Yeah.
And my sense is I was essentially a non-judgmental person, but I knew I needed to learn to judge better.
Right. You have to judge right to be in this reality.
Right. I needed to judge for the right political party and the right protests and the right this.
Yeah.
And I was just like lost.
Yep. Yep.
And that's what happens if you grow up with that looking to the outside to tell you who to be and what to do and how to behave.
Well, I can't remember if I've talked to you about this, but in college, I was a math major. And what worked I was brilliant at math, right? But what worked for me about it is you could prove things. Like you either can prove the theorem or you can't prove it. You can solve the equation or you can't. And there's usually ways to check.
Yes.
You do this problem and then you do it the reverse and you can check that you got the right answer. So that was very easy for me.
Yes.
Whereas any kind of classes that involved putting your thoughts on paper, it's like you can't take it back, right? Because if I'm talking to you and I misstep and I can perceive you shift and I'm like, I can backtrack and work around it and go a different way. Whereas if I've put something on paper and it's wrong, it's there.
It's permanent.
And I so remember that where anything that had gray area, what that wasn't a clear yes, no, right, wrong was very stressful for me because I was trying so hard to be good and right.
Well, that has served. I had a similar thing, although I would try to put down the right thing, like the interpretation of the story. And I would say, Pam, that served us well because these crazy people who post all this stuff on Facebook or TikTok, and they don't get that's there permanently.
Yes.
Do you really want someone reading that in 5 years or a text?
Yes.
I have to watch myself when I text and reread it. Do I really want someone reading this in 5 years?
Yes.
You know.
Yep.
So I think that can also serve us. And what would it take for every person to know that they are enough in and of themselves?
Yeah.
They don't need that external validation. I think that's so tricky for people.
It is. And I mean, I want to go back to what you said about you and your sister, where she was a troublemaker. So you were not a troublemaker.
Right.
That's like two sides of the same coin, right?
Yes, exactly.
And, so much of the time, so whether you're trying to be good or you're trying to be bad, or you're, like, I'm going to do whatever I want, no matter what, or I'm going to go along with what everybody else says. It's all, to me, it's like the same limitation.
Yes.
Because so often we'll think, I'm going to stand up for myself and I'm going to do it my way. And that can be as much of a reaction to what everybody else is expecting of you or thinking you should be or whatever, as whatever there's the opposite of that. And so what we're talking about is, if you have that sense of you and you don't need that external okay, then you're just showing up.
Yes. Well, and I think a huge key to that, and I've been looking at all the subtle ways that I do this, is not taking anything personal.
Yeah.
It's not personal. It's about the other person.
Yep.
And that's one of the hardest concepts for people to get. If someone judges you negatively, I think you're a little overweight, Marilyn. Or if someone judges me positively, you look beautiful tonight, Marilyn. If I'm in aligning, agreeing, or resisting and reacting to either of those, rather than being an interesting point of view, I'm at the effect of those people's points of view and belief systems and projections. And that's like a beach. I used to call it the beach ball on the ocean waves. You have no control. You're just tossed about by other people's opinions.
Yeah. Because whereas if you're getting dressed and going out for the evening and you and your body feel good and you're loving what you're wearing, and like, then that is what's true for you. Yeah. And you can see that, well, somebody saying, oh, you look good, you look bad, blah, 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 is just their point of view.
Yeah. But that's a really big one for people to give up.
Yeah.
That and being loyal to your family.
Which we had a whole episode on loyalty.
Yes, we did. And I had a new little thing with it because I inherited some money from my mother when she passed. And I realized, oh, I'm only loyal if I don't go too much above this money she left me.
You can't earn more.
I can't earn much more. Otherwise, I'm being disloyal to all of her frugality and her washing tinfoil and everything that she did to save all that money. And if I'm blowing it, I'm making a mockery of her.
Wow. That's huge. That's huge.
That was really huge. I was like, oops.
Well, and there's so many points of view that we are aware of, and there's the ones we're not. Like, I can remember, for me, I don't remember when time-wise this was, but I know I was little when Patty Hearst was kidnapped and, right? And so I grew up thinking, if you have too much money, you're going to get kidnapped or your kids are going to get kidnapped. Right? And, when I realized that, it was like, oh, that's one point of view that I'm aware of.
Yes.
How many hundreds and thousands and probably millions of little points of view like that do we have about whether it's money or who we are and how we show up? They're all there. That tool, interesting point of view, is a great way to get out of it. Just like, interesting point of view, I have that point of view.
Right. Interesting point of view. They have that point of view, that I have that point of view.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really good. And another way this creeps in subtly is this whole thing, I would say it's America, but it's the whole world, of the experts. You can trust the experts. They know what's right for you.
Yes.
Have you ever noticed that one diet expert says do this and the other diet expert says do that? And none of it has anything to do with you.
Yeah.
But we're told that we should, listen to the deities, and we should. Now, there are times, you need your computer worked on. You might say, okay, let me look at the energy. Where could I take you, computer? Where can I take this so that it will be, well treated and fixed?
Right.
That's different than making that person, that expert, greater than you. Oh my gosh, I have to listen to what they have to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a great example of that is I recently started redoing my website, and I realized before then, what I had always done was hire someone to do my website for me. So, and I was basically I don't know what I'm doing, so somebody else needs to do this because I'll get it wrong. And, and I'd give them some stuff and they'd put it together and I'd be like, yeah, that looks fine. And this time it's like every piece of it, I've been choosing myself.
Oh, cool.
And much of it I've been able to implement myself because I learned how to do some stuff in the website platform. And then I hired someone who will do the stuff I don't know how to do, but it's coming from me.
Yes.
And I'm choosing. And instead of it being this, my website's kind of off over here and I don't even think about it because I don't know what I'm doing. Right. I'm actually engaged with it and enjoying it, and brings me pleasure and happiness to be creating it. And and before, I've always given up my knowing and my awareness and my choice to someone else because I didn't know what I'm doing. That was my
Everybody knows more than I do. Everybody's greater than I am. I need to just be passive and let them direct my life.
Exactly. So where are you going into that? What Marilyn just so beautifully put into words, where you kind of abdicate your knowing and your awareness and your choice for what somebody else says you should do. Rather than going, what do I know about? Maybe I don't have the technical expertise to fix my computer, but what do I know? And, you were asking the questions like, where can I take this that will work and be a contribution?
And the bigger questions, like, do you really need to get married and have 2.5 kids? Now, if that's actually what works for you, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Do you need to go into the family business? Only if it's going to expand your life. Yeah. That's it. So many people want to right or wrong. Well, should I get married or not? Should I do this? Should I do this career? Well, you can't make much money as an artist. These are all presumptive realities, things that you presume to be true. And you're looking for someone to tell you what to do rather than trusting what you know to be true for you. Yeah. And you know what? You're going to mess up. So what? Oh, I learned from that.
What if there are no mistakes?
Exactly.
There's just what you chose and what you got from it and your awareness and what you're going to choose next time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. If you don't have to judge it as right or wrong or a mistake, you can just say, wow, we turned left, we turned right, okay, let's try a different direction.
Yep.
It frees you up to try a different direction, which if you have to judge from the outside and what other people tell you is right, you can't try anything else.
Yeah.
And the reason it's a good little girl and boy is if you're still doing that in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, you are still a little girl or boy. You are not an adult.
Say more, Marilyn.
Well, my sense is that someone who's really an adult, as children, we have to look to our family and to the experts to some degree because we don't know. And most of us didn't have parents that really encouraged us to question and to know what was true for us and to have choice. But if you carry that into adulthood, once again, you didn't grow up. You didn't grow up. And I hate that word, like take responsibility, but you didn't grow up to command your own life.
Yeah.
I think that's
it's never too late to start.
That's right. I have to tell you a funny story about that. I was actually wearing this shirt at Trader Joe's the other morning. And I came out and I had the kind of this, I don't know if you can see it, this kind of inset part.
Yeah.
And there was a lady a lot older than I am with gray hair. She said, that's a great shirt. You can wear all kinds of things with it. She said, you could wear pink pants. And I said, that never occurred to me. She's like, it's never too late.
So what pink pants do you have hiding in your closet that you've never worn
I've
that you
never
can bring
worn.
out and start being?
Yeah, exactly. It's time for the pink pants celebration, I think. Anyhow, that was so fun. It's kind of started my day on a really fun note.
Well, and the thing is, you always have choice.
Yes.
And that choice can be, going along with what everyone else is expecting of you and feeling very squinched up and limited, or it can be finding what works for you and who you are and how you show up in the world, and giving yourself that gold star or that pat on the back when you need it, rather than looking to someone else for it.
And don't hesitate to start small.
Yeah.
Because if you've been in the pattern of depending on external validation and direction your whole life, it's going to be a big change. Yeah. You could start by, well, what would I really like to eat? Everybody says we should eat this, but maybe I would like something else.
Yeah.
Or what does my body want to do? Does it want to dance or take a walk or, whatever?
Yep.
Not listening to the experts, but tuning into you and what you know to be true for you.
And I just want to point out, we don't call ourselves the expert therapists, we're the irreverent therapists.
About that.
Because we're not experts. We're here to invite you to be the expert in your
or
life.
yourself. Yes.
So shall I cue the music?
Cue the music. Thank you all.